Sanctuary, the mortal realm, Inarius and the Soulstone. As I study the end times, seeking ways to forestall what I have come to feel is inevitable, I believe it is more important than ever to understand the origins of our world. In the later sections of the books of Cain is an epic poem that tells of the renegade angel Inarius. The accounts of Inarius' life state that he was an advisor of the Injurious Council, serving under the command of Tyrael, Archangel of Justice. It is further written that after eons of battle and witnessing countless acts of brutality, Inarius came to the conclusion that the eternal conflict was unjust and that his part in it must come to an end. He quickly resolved to seek out others who might share his view. In time, he recruited not only angels but, incredibly, demons as well, and convinced them to join his blasphemous venture. There was one among them, however, who stood out above all others. While wounded and marooned on some broken outpost of the Pandemonium fortress, Inarius arranged to meet the demoness Lilith. Lilith, who had suffered the hatred of her father Mephisto from the time of immemorial, had long awaited an opportunity to rebel. And so it was that something extraordinary and unprecedented happened. For the first time ever, combatants in the internal conflict not only set aside their differences but also formed a union. Drawn together despite opposing forces, they had discovered common ground. It is difficult for my mind to fully grasp, but the legends tell us that Inarius and Lilith fell in love. Incredibly, that single alliance would alter the course of the war, of reality itself, indeed, of all existence. Inarius and Lilith both pledged themselves to the other and vowed to escape the eternal conflict. United in purpose, they gathered their fellow renegades and either led a campaign to capture the Soulstone or used some misdirection to gain entrance to its guarded chambers within the Pandemonium fortress. What happened next, I will attempt to convey as best as I can through the hazy curtains of both time and myth. The creation of Sanctuary. The books of Cain state the following. Inarius and his new companions altered the frequency or dimensional alignment of the Soulstone, using its power to conceal it from the angels and demons still fighting the eternal conflict. They shifted the massive crystal into a pocket dimension, and there they shaped a garden paradise around it, a world of refuge they would call Sanctuary. We cannot say how this feat was accomplished, as the means of Inarius' actions remain unknown, but it is known from the books of Cain and other, lesser sources from this time that the eternal conflict briefly came to a grinding halt over the Soulstone's disappearance. For my own part, it is amusing to think what it must have been like for the forces of heaven and hell to fight their way to the Soulstone's usual location, only to find it missing. I would speculate that for a time both groups must have accused the other of stealing it, until they were finally convinced that their opponents were just as confused as they. The account given, supported by events which would come eons later, is that Inarius shaped Mount Ariad as a kind of protective shell around the Soulstone, and from there the rest of the world as we know it was formed. There, the Soulstone remained until recent times, when the Archangel Tyrael destroyed the sacred crystal and much of Mount Ariad surrounding it. But I get ahead of myself. This matter will be addressed in later sections, for the implications of the Soulstone's destruction and its ripple effects are felt by us to this very day.